Hi friends, this is CC and welcome to Hobby Hands. In this vlog, we're going to turn all of this into this. Yes friends, in this vlog, we're going to do a build of this, which is the Zvezda, and it's a 1/72 scale model of the SU-50 or the T-50, which is a Russian 5th generation fighter, and the model number is 7275. So let's have a look at what's inside the box. So the first thing we see is the instruction manual, and it's basically an A3 page folded into two, and all the build parts, all the build instructions are on the main page. So the parts list up the top has the two fuselage parts, and it's got the big sprues with a pilot in there. All the build steps are in small boxes, and there's a pending guide down here. So let's look at the parts now. First parts that we see are the two fuselage halves. That's the bottom fuselage half, and this is the top fuselage half. Let's having a look. Tiny bit of flash here and there. The plastic is a little bit rough. Panel lines are recessed, but yeah, we might actually just use a scrubber and deepen it a bit. So there are some ejector pin marks, but they are not visible when you assemble the model. There's a big sprue here, and this is the main sprue. It contains everything else. We can see that it contains some of the interior parts, the engine parts or the exhaust, the intake parts, the cockpit tub. Molding is not too bad, quite crisp, and not much flash. Again, recessed panel lines. And let's have a look at this one. It's a very tiny sprue, and it contains the pilot. We can do it as a standing pilot or a sitting one in flight. And this one is the clear sprue, so it's mainly the two parts of the canopy and some landing lights. And there's a decal sheet, not a very big one. Pretty simple decals, but they're quite well printed. And it comes also with a stand, which you don't get a lot of these days. Alright friends, so we're very excited, so let's start building. Let's look at what we need to do first. So as usual, the first bit that we need to do is these parts here, which is the cockpit tub and the interior, with the pilot and some of the other parts. So let's do the interior parts now. I'm going to build it with the pilot in flight. So with the pilot figure, I just use a knife to clean up the mold lines. We start assembling the pilot, which is assembling his arms, and then after that the upper torso to the lower torso. Okay, and the next thing that I do is to dip the clear pieces into some flow polish. So what I do is dip, shake off the excess, and also just clean up any other bits that remain on the part onto a paper towel, and then put inside a box with a lid so the dust doesn't settle on. Okay, so the next thing that I'll do here is to scribe the panel lines. I'll just show you some of the scribing. Panel lines are recessed again, but then running the scriber through just makes the panel line a bit deeper. So first thing we do is run the scriber softly over the line, and then the second time again, but put a bit more pressure, and the third and fourth time even more pressure. Probably 4 or 5 times will be enough. Alright, so now with the pilot, I'm going to start painting the pilot. Also paint the ejection seat here. Painting the pilot again. What I did was just give the pilot some white primer before I paint the flesh color. Just painting on the uniform now, and it's sort of a dark green color. Alright, now with the engine fans, or the intake or the exhaust fans, what I do is firstly give it a black undercoat, and then with a dry brush some either metallic grey or silver. Like that. You can see the silver really picks out the parts now. There you go, and a bit of a close-up. Alright, so the next thing that I'll do is put on the decals for the instrument panel and also for the cockpit tub. And these are the decals for the side panels. The decals are quite easy to work with. Okay, so after painting and the decals, I'm giving all the interior parts a coat of gloss varnish. Alright, so this is a close-up of the pilot. So what we do now is put some wash over the body of the pilot. And with the interior, with the cockpit tub and other interior parts as well, just put a bit of wash and it creates a bit of shadow. The wash helps to pick out the parts or make the parts kind of stand out in detail. So once the wash has dried, we take a cotton bud with some thinner and clean up so that you're left with only nice, clean, thin panel lines. And do the same with some of the interior parts like that. We won't make it too clean. So the next thing that we'll do here is dry brush, and what we do is get some white paint and put it on a dry brush and just gently brush over the parts. This makes the high parts of the piece start to stand out like that. See, the details on the seat come up. We do the same for the figure. So that the high parts of the clothing actually stand out as well. The details start to jump out. We do the same for all the interior parts like the landing gear shafts. So what we do next is assemble the cockpit. So we'll be putting in parts like the control sticks or the ejection seat and the pilot to be attached to the ejection seat. Okay, once the cockpit tub has been completed, we then give that cockpit tub and all the attached parts a coating of flat clear. Okay, like that. So the next thing that we'll do is give the pilot's goggles a bit of a clear green. You can use clear blue as well, or orange, it's up to you. And that's the heads-up display, as well with the monitors on the instrument panel. I'll put a bit of clear paint on it. Alright, so now I'm also just assembling the intakes and the exhaust. This will have to go onto the fuselage before the two halves are assembled. This one here is the exhaust. Has some very nice detail there, like the fan grille, which is a separate part. Okay, gonna start attaching the cockpit parts into the fuselage half. That's the instrument panel. And then the cockpit tub. Put some weights into the nose of the aircraft. With the amount of plastic at the back, I think it's going to be tail heavy. So just put in the weights up front. I use a little used medicine blister pack and just glue it onto the front of the aircraft. When the glue is dry, we start attaching the top and bottom halves of the fuselage together. The two fuselage halves actually fit quite nicely together. And then we'll start putting glue and hold the two halves together with some masking tape. Alright, once done, I inspect the joints, and where necessary I put in some putty. Is to make the joint lines disappear. Alright, when the putty has dried, what I do then is to just sand off the putty like that. So I use some grids, like I'll start off with 600, and then I'll go down to 800, and then I'm end up with 2000 and probably a 6000 grid. Alright, so now we're going to assemble the canopy, but before we do that, we put in the heads-up display. Alright, heads-up display is now in, so we'll then put on the canopy. We'll do the front windshield first. Alright friends, so what we're going to do is start painting now. So what I've already started to do is just block off the intakes and the exhaust. I've also temporarily stuck on the landing gear doors. So what I need to do now is to mask off the canopy. This is a little toothpick to push out the air bubbles, and then with a very sharp knife just cut the masking tape and remove the parts that you don't need. Alright, so showing you that the masking has all been done. So we use several layers of masking tape, and then after that top it off with a bit of masking solution just to cover up any holes and prevent any paint seeping through. Alright, so the first thing that I do when I start the painting is do the pre-shading. So I'll do pre-shading in both black and white. So just showing you that the pre-shading has been done. The frame of the canopy has been painted interior colors, and the rest of the aircraft has been given the white and black pre-shading. Right, so let's start with the first camouflage color. So I like to start with the darker colors. So this is a dark gray that I'm using. Alright, so just going to show you now that I've done some masking for the first camouflage color. There you go. So the next color that I'm going to do then is a medium gray. Right, so the second color, which is the medium gray, has been done. So what I do now is continue masking. So what I've done is I've actually photocopied the instruction or the painting guide and blown it up to a same size as the actual model. And then what I use then I use that as a guide to cut the masking tape. And then use that masking tape for masking the camouflage. You can do it freehand if you like, but yeah, I just thought I'd do something different on this one. Like that. Alright, so there you go. So that's mask off the second camouflage color, and we've just left a smaller bit for the last camouflage color, which is a sort of a very light gray. Alright, so all three camouflage colors are on, so now we just remove the masking and have a look at the result of the painting. You can see the two different grays there. Okay, once all the masking is off, I give the whole aircraft now a coating of clear varnish. And then the next thing that we'll do is put panel line wash. I'm just going to use black panel line wash for the whole aircraft. Right, then we get a bit of a thinner and a cotton bud and just clean up the panel lines like that, so that what we're left with is nice neat panel lines. Okay, so what I'll do next is to attach decals. Not a lot of decals to put on, and the decals are quite easy to work with. Alright, when the decals have all been attached and have dried, I give the whole aircraft another coat of gloss clear, and this is to protect the decals. Okay, now the gloss clear has dried, so we at the stage of actually doing the final assembly. So lots of little sub-assemblies. This one here that I'm doing is the front landing gear. So just gluing on the wheels to the landing gear shaft. Also putting together the main landing gear. We start, then what we'll do next is to assemble the landing gear onto the aircraft. That's a little landing gear door. Thing on the main landing gear now. As well as the cross brace. Also assembling the landing gear doors. Alright, just so I'm going to turn the aircraft over now. For the moment I'm just going to put it on the stand so that I can actually work on the vertical tail. Done. Okay, so now doing a bit of a dry brush or weathering. So with the engine exhaust, I'll dry brush a bit of silver. And then do a bit of weathering. So I'll do is get a bit of grey weathering paint and just put it at random onto into the parts of the aircraft to give it a bit of a different tone. A bit of white. for highlighting, and also to put onto the light gray areas. Okay, then a bit of burnt blue and burnt orange onto the engine area, just to simulate the burnt metal look. Makes the model more interesting with a different color. Also a bit of very light silver weathering. Again, it makes the model more interesting with different tones. Okay, all done. So what I do now is give the whole aircraft or the whole model a coating of flat clear varnish. And all done. So the last thing I want to do here is to remove the masking. We'll do this slowly and carefully so that we don't scratch the parts. The canopy looks quite shiny still. Alright, there you go, the masking's come off. So I'll do a few close-ups for you. This is a close-up of the canopy and showing a bit of the cockpit and heads-up display. You can also see the pilot. The front tube. That's the nose of the aircraft. This is the top of the aircraft. Close-up of one tail. One wing. Get quite a nice view of the camouflage there. A view of the exhaust. You can see it's quite detailed. You can also just see the grill of the exhaust. Okay, now with a bit of light you can see it better. Let's have a look underneath. You get a view of the landing gear. That's the main landing gear. That's the bottom of the aircraft. The nose landing gear with lights. You can actually just see the spotlights on the nose landing gear. That's one of the engine intakes. You can just see the landing gear bay there as well. So there you go. This is a T-50 and that's the top view, the side view, and the bottom view. So final thoughts on this aircraft and on this model. The kit came together very nicely, the parts fitted nicely, and there's no much areas that you actually need to putty or sand. It's quite a big aircraft, quite a big model actually. It comes with a pilot and some nice details. The camouflage was quite interesting to do. So I don't normally do masking like that for camouflage, but in this one I did. No weapons that came with the aircraft, but there are holes there for the pylons. The kit also comes with a stand. The stand was originally grey. I've given it a matte black coat. There you go. Very nice model to display. Alright friends, I hope you enjoyed that vlog. Please subscribe to my channel. Please give me a like. Please share this vlog with your family and friends. And please leave me some comments or feedback below. Thank you very much for watching. Until the next time, this is CC signing off.